Hello world, all 5 subscribers that I have. Thanks for tuning in. This channel is dedicated to processing my diseased pathological relationship with Quentin Tarantino that has degenerated into such a palpable evil that I live in perpetual fear as a result of his evil. This is the second video that I've made since I left the hospital Friday afternoon. I went to the hospital because of Quentin's torture of me, which he can always deny. He'll always say, "Oh, I have no idea what he's talking about. Gosh, how unfortunate." Right? But what I'm saying right now to whomever watches these videos is that I'm the millennial dragon. That I know exactly what I'm talking about. He stole his base, disgusting tactics from me. He stole my wisdom. And so, as this condition has degenerated into what it is now, I see clearer and clearer each day that I did choose the right side. That Quentin Tarantino is a base, degenerate, evil man. And since I have no master or order to betray, right, that it's my job to be the guardian angel of the world, to show everyone how the world works, how the world is structured, right? That this is, right, like that's why, right, that's why I burned him, right? Because he's not actually cool. Because if he was cool, he would have compelled me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. He would have paid me nothing, paid me pennies, right? And I would have just been a loser, right? And while if you think being a base degenerate is cool, I am still a loser, right? If that's like, oh, if you want to cast your allegiances with evil, and a lot of people have, let's see, Paul Schrader, Martin Scorsese, Trey Anastasio from Fish, Doctors David Berlinski and Stephen Meyer. Oh, gosh, who else? David Mamet. Gosh, who else? Francesca Scorsese. Oh, gosh, who else? Elvis Mitchell, right? I've written the Pope, right? The first video I made was for him. I'm mailing it to him, and we're going to keep mailing the Holy Father. But this channel is dedicated to me reading my novel. I've written a novel. A novelization of my experiences with Quentin, and then we talk about the writing, we talk about the nature of reality, right? So, what I'll say before I begin reading again is that we're getting to the point now where perhaps on some level, the quality of the writing is degrading. And so what do I mean by that? I mean that the first draft was a rhapsody of handwriting. Right, it was a pen in my hand, right, cascading the phenomenon onto the page in real time, right? And so the second draft is me typing it, is me, right? And so the third draft is going back to the beginning of that second draft and seeing the fallacies in my writing, right, and exploding them or contracting them accordingly, right? And so now, right, it's very difficult for me to write on this. It's very difficult for me to work on it because Quentin has designs towards seeing me blow my brains out, towards giving me diseases by magic, by sorcery, right? And so that, therefore, right, it's very difficult to work on it because he would rather see me put a gun in my mouth, right? But we're gonna talk more about that like as we get into it, and so we're in Vegas, right? We'll pick up where we left off. These mark the second set of Halloween shows I've done in the last 3 years, and the third Halloween show I have attended. The first at the festival in Palm Springs in 2009, then not again until 2018. Between the two saw Halloween shows the following year, 2010 in Atlantic City, as well as 2013 also in Atlantic City. The following year, for the first time since their reunion in Las Vegas at the MGM, 2016 and 2018 as well. 2009 in Palm Springs was the only Halloween festival, with the palm trees behind the stage strung up with lights. They also employed these bizarre balloon drone-type creatures that hovered over the crowd, wildly psychedelic. Each balloon could change color so that one moment they were all different colors, then they would all flush red, then a third red, a third white, a third blue. But you couldn't hear anything keeping it afloat. They donned a musical costume, playing a different band's entire album between two sets of Clam. Genesis, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. The last Halloween in 18 saw them troll all of us, alleging it was a rare, obscure Scandinavian prog rock band that no one had ever heard of, but were huge influences on Clam, with a 5-page manifesto describing their journey of their embracing this rare, obscure sonic texture none of us had ever known. And it was quite funny seeing everyone on drugs trying to look up this band and discussing amongst themselves. But I knew immediately. It's all new Clam, and it was excellent. I expect something similar this time. New music. I arrive in Vegas midday, Thursday. The show starts technically at 7:30. Doors open at 6:30. After navigating through downtown in the most run-down vehicle to drive the strip in 30 years, I park in the Leviathan of a garage at the MGM and walk in. Signage as soon as I walk in points me to a line wherein I acquire my tickets and merchandise. The line is sparse, but perhaps has 60 people in it. They are swiftly processing them, and I arrive at the table in 15 minutes. A pretty girl sits opposite, her head waist high. Waist high. Brown hair, mousy. ID and credit card, please. I produce the material and hand it to her. She types information on a tablet and nods. She turns around and yells back, "What size?" "Large." She turns back around and hands me a piece of paper, a wristband, and 2 yellow t-shirts. "Take the paper to the hotel lobby check-in." She points down the long hallway lined with overpriced food and swag of varying variety. All the way down that hallway. And they'll get you set up. "Thanks so much." "Thank you. Have a good show." I walk on down the hall. The lobby opens up to a grand cavernous space with a ceiling of some 30 feet high. It is a Goliath of architecture, a temple to Dionysus if ever one existed. From the main entrance, which is to my left, to the south, as I enter from the other entrance in the parking garage. The walls are gold. In the center, a golden lion with a golden reflective dome overhead. Classic meets garish. The desk is rounded to my right as I enter and spans some 60 feet across the eastern half of the circle. To my left is coat check. I remember in 18 I would always check my bag. In fact, I remember now I left my tickets in the bag one night, and they brought me back into the enormous space they store everything in. A giant breathing apparatus of structure. Huge shelves that stretched to infinity, or so it seemed. The manager brought me through the maze. As we perused the space, I commented on how vast the space was, and he smiled and informed me that the MGM is the 4th largest hotel in the world. Whether that is still true today, I cannot say. Across the tile floor, on the other side of the circle, the Lion and its surrounding floral arrangement, a catch-all store, where you can buy anything in a pinch. Really expensive booze. North of there is the entrance to the casino. I turn right and head to the desk. A nice young guy stands and smiles as I approach. I reciprocate as I hand him the paper. He types the information into the computer between us. "I'm sorry to say this, but your reservation has no rooms available. I'll have to give you a queen double bed. Is that all right?" Yeah, fuck it, no worries." He nods approvingly and types in some more information. "Very good, Mr. Cash. It is on the 23rd floor. Is that good?" "It's the top floor that isn't the penthouse. So 24 is the top." He nods as he hands me the key cards and a pamphlet. 2311, follow the signs. The elevator only goes to floors 18 and up. I nod in contemplation as I take the material from him. "Okay, very good. Specific elevator. And where are those?" He points back the way I came. "The elevator is just back through there to your left." "I see." I walked past them. "Thanks a bunch. Enjoy your stay." The elevator is its own ritual, to be sure. Upon arrival, I see my room is quite legendary. Badass panorama of Vegas. Huge wall-sized window. 2 queen beds. A big wardrobe, light brown on top and bottom with the darker stain between. A TV atop. Mini bar to the left. With the same color pattern. I sling my bag up on the bed, loaded primarily with books and a few meager outfits I own. I have around $1,500. I'm going to spend it as recklessly as I want. I call my friend Pickles. Ethan Cash, what's going on? I just checked in. Are you here? Yeah, we're all here. Can you help me with anything? Yeah. I only have a little something, but I got something for you. Hell yeah. Where you staying? Excalibur. What about you? I'm at the MGM travel package. Oh, whoa. She yells out to her friends. Hey, Ethan got a travel package. Was that steep? It was not cheap. But not that much more than what I paid in 18 to stay in a total dump across town. We'll be there around 7. Hell yeah, you text me. Sounds good. After getting off the phone, I take a shower and head down out into the world. The Strip is a hideous conglomerate of shit. Buffets and bullshit souvenir shops between casinos. As I'm walking east on the south side of the street, which is the backside of the MGM, a Buddhist woman walks by me holding jewelry. She stops and puts a necklace around my neck. Free, free! I let her put it on my neck. A jade green Buddha with a simple leather strap. Free? Donation, only donation. She puts a golden Buddha card in my hand and produces a notebook and a pen. See? Donation! On the page is a cornucopia of $20 inputs. Line the page with names and locales. I nod and produce a 20. She furrows her brow and points to the card. Two donations! 2, see? 2! I look at the card and the necklace, then back to the card, then to the blue-eyed hag nun extorting me, then back to the material, then back to the hag. Then I take a moment to consider where I am, what I intend to do, namely, gamble, and hedging my bets. I produce another 20, and she smiles and hugs me. Happy life! Happy life! Happy life! God bless you. And she went on her way. Did I get grifted in my first 15 minutes here? Pay it forward? Perhaps I got grifted, but my intentions are pure. I walk for perhaps 1 hour before turning back around and heading back to the casino. Inside the casino is pure bacchanalia. Scents and subtle sounds. Colors in the void. Lights, sounds, smells, all beckoning you to spend all of your money on a single roll, on a single hand of blackjack, on a single hand of poker. Heading into the poker room, I approach the desk in the front. A man stands opposite in a suit. He smiles as I entreat. 1-2 cash game? 1-3. Okay. 1-3. Yeah, sign me up, Ethan Cash. Do you have a player's card? Nah. Are you interested in getting one? High hand every hour gets 300. No worries. He nods as he types in some information before he looks back to me. Be about 15 minutes. Sounds good, thanks. I stand near the tables and wait for them to call my name. The casino is busy. All the tables have plastic sneeze guards hanging from the ceiling. Hundreds of people mull about. The music is on a loop of 5 songs that are all equally horrendous. A name softly emerges from a hidden sound system as the guy at the desk speaks into a microphone. Cash, table 4. I walk to the table and adopt the only open seat. I put $200 bills in front of the dealer as he shuffles. He takes the bills and offers me a blended array of chips. Only 5 10s, 1s, 5s, 10s, 25s. Gambling is a haze of vice, a performance of its own kind. The lobby is packed with people, and the walkway leading to the venue has become a dense amalgam of patchouli and sage, and women with hairy armpits, hairy legs. But largely the clam community has a skater style. Remorseful corpse is patchwork. I am waiting for Pickles now. It is much later than I prefer. However, I do not have any drugs, and so I'm waiting to get fed before I enter. Masses of people all jaw-jacking, chomping away, a hive mind of joy and elation. To my right is the Whiskey Down, a bar I frequented often in 18 while I was here. Someone stole my hat, I remember. Badass hat. Happens all the time. It approaches 7 o'clock when finally my phone rings. Pickles, yo, where you at? I'm in the hall at the edge of the casino that leads to the entrance next to Whiskey Down. What about you? I'm close. We're coming in now. Look for the purple wig. Cool, I'm looking. I see Patrick, the tall, slightly chubby bear of a gay that was selling cheap laser-cut swag at Dick's, standing tall with Max and John next on either side of him. And to Max's left, Pickles with a sequined dress and a purple wig and light-up sneakers. I wave her attention my way. She smiles and approaches. We embrace. Ethan, so good to see you. How are you? Still crushing pickleball? What's my name? I got you a birthday present. It's in my room, but I'll get it to you. She looks to everyone. Guys, you remember Ethan, right? Yeah, hell yeah. What's up, dude? Dude, you cut your hair. Good to see you. Cute. John looks to the two of us as we begin walking towards the venue. How did you guys meet? I met her in the elevator at Hotel Penn New Year's Eve the 30th. I complimented her pickle tiara, and we shared a cig outside. Some minutes later, I saw her again at my hotel up the street and told her I had an extra seat, and she came and spent the second set with me, and we've been friends ever since. You complimented my mouth skills, a redeemable quality in any woman. The dull roar of the hundreds of people passing through to the venue is not deafening, but the excitement is palpable, and the frequency is magnitudes higher than usual. I have this floor ticket. Would anyone be interested in going to the floor? Oh, and pickles, do you have... I have a gram of Molly I could sell you, $90. Cool, yeah, let's do it. Let's stop real quick. We tuck ourselves into an alcove against the wall as the Wook herd continues towards the destination. She produces a bag from her shoe, and I give her 100. Just keep the change, whenever. Just give me the change whenever. She nods, and we continue walking. Do you guys want to go to the floor? John replies, I mean, you just have the one ticket? Yeah, just one. I'll try, but seems like you'll just get 2 wristbands. At the entrance, I produce the tickets, and the guy hands us a handful of wristbands, 4 for 2. He obviously wasn't paying attention. Overwhelmed by the party of it all, we exchange wide eyes and head inside. The music has just begun. It is a wild psychedelic cacophony, badass ambient texture leading somewhere. However, it is not obvious. We head into the floor as they kick off Also Sprach Zarathustra, Clam's take on the classical composition in the spirit of the rendition in the film Being There with Peter Sellers. Loose, easy groove, heavy clavicle. A peculiar opener, to be sure. The energy is high. The floor in this venue is chaos. Vietnam. Charlie's in the fucking trees. Fist fights almost. As people try to claim space. I know I'll have to arrive earlier to get a good spot. We wrestle with the folks near the door for a time before John says, let's try to find a seat. I nod. Yeah, it's probably better up there. So we head up to the seats. The venue is packed, sold out, 20,000. Dancing in the corridor, dancing in the seats. We inevitably end up in the nosebleed. As the set unfolds, John makes an observation. I think all the songs are numbers. I react wide-eyed. Yeah? He nods. Elucidate. 2001, 1999, 666, 47 days. Oh, whoa, and they're all going down, too. They transition out of Raspberry Alphabet 33 into 30 years later. 30 years later. Pickle says, badass. This is the end of the set, for sure. She nods. We should go back down to the floor now, and maybe we can carve out a good spot for the second set. Collective nods. Patrick replies, I think I'll stay up here. It's too much down there. Now, John. Yeah, I agree. I'm down. Let's head to the floor. Give me hugs. Patrick, John, and Max each give us a hug. Ready? She looks wide-eyed, intoxicated to me. I nod. Let's roll. We start to head down to the aisle as the bridge refrain of Second Time Around sets the jam off into outer space. We see security informing people they aren't allowed to dance in the aisleways. Has a totalitarian Orwellian nightmare kind of vibe. Though I am sure they say it is for emergency services. However, fascism is always intellectually valid from this side of right. Taking the escalator back down into the jungle, we dance in an open space through the jam, and when the musical refrain is brought back, we head to the entrance, the only entrance to the floor. We wait for the set to close. Once the band leaves and the lights come on for set break, we see some 1,000 people emerge. We go against the grain and push maybe halfway through, and arrive at an acceptable space between guitar and bass, though fairly far back. Pickles produces a bag of Coke, as well as a set of spoons. She takes a bump, hands me the bag as well as one of the spoons. I inspect the spoons. Kanye Gayfish spoon! The spoon is Mermaid Kanye, with his 2 large back flippers as drug spoons. 1 for each nostril. I imbibe, filling up both spoons but snorting each one individually. As I exhale after the left nostril, I decry, 'cause I'm a motherfucking gay fish. I hand her the backpack. Gay fish, y'all! So what have you been up to? Axe throwing and pickleball are my go-tos. You throw axes? Yeah, it's badass. Check it out. She shows me a video of her throwing an axe overhead Viking style. She needs a helmet with horns or animal heads on top. Nice. What about you? Bah! I shrug. I don't know. I'm lost. I've been working in Colorado since I saw your dicks. I'm gonna go to LA when I leave here. What are you gonna do there? I've taken to writing. It has become an obsession. And so I feel I have to go into Babylon, either New York or Los Angeles, if I want to be a writer professionally. Since I'm already on this side, I'll try the City of Angels first. The City of Angles first. You sure? Sure of nothing. Just seeing what sticks. The lights dim, the crowd erupts. The band comes back on. They set out immediately into 8 Below. The song is a smooth, slower tempo, beautiful rendition. A jam unfolds for 15 minutes. After the second verse and chorus, as is so often the case with this, our favorite band, a key change, E minor, a tempo shift. I know this song. Clay begins singing. If the sun refused to shine, I don't mind. I don't mind. I looked at Pickles with glee. Jimi Hendrix badass. I got my own world to live in, and I ain't gonna copy you. It's always a treat when they debut a song, and one as legendary as this seals the show as instantly classic. Not that the first set didn't do that already. So I'll stop there. So, it's a novelization of my experiences with Quentin Tarantino and the movie Critic, which spans from May of 2021 through February of 2025, right? Why May of 2021, right? Because that's when I quit my job, right, to pursue the arts sincerely, right? And so it took me roughly 1 year to realize that I was an actor, right? I already knew I was a writer, right? And then it took me another 6 months of training and acting in New York before I wrote Quentin Tarantino about the movie Critic, right? So that is what's worth pointing out now is that's the last segment that is third draft, right? There's 3 more shows after that show, right? But the next paragraph begins the shows have passed, right? So writing is a rhapsody. It's like, right? And then and then it's the work, right? And then you read it and say, oh, gosh, if I was reading that, I wouldn't like that. Or, it's a little shallow. It's a little flimsy, right? And so, right, we're going through the entire novel, right, because it behooves me to bring the public at large into the conversation, right? And so why do I say that, right? Before I begin talking about the nature of reality, right? I say that because Production Weekly, right, has published that Quentin Tarantino is kicking off an untitled production. It's the movie Critic. It's the same movie. December of this year, right? In just a few months from now, right? So his campaign, right, has been to destroy my mind, right? To compel me to suicide, right? And all that he's done, right, is crawl all the way into my mind, right? But simultaneously, it's a pendulum, right? The pendulum of wisdom is constantly swinging in both directions. I've crawled all the way into his mind, right? And so if it goes all the way to December to when he begins shooting this film again, right? And it's this occulted thing where it's just me and the Hollywood elite that are in the know, he's going to torture me with a palpable evil all day, every day. And so we're talking about it, right? I'm writing the Holy Father. We're bringing the public into the conversation at large, right? Because, right? He's a fucking sick degenerate who doesn't deserve any of the success that he's gotten. Doesn't deserve that fine fucking wife he's got. Right? So, what do I mean? Right? What am I talking about? Yeah, really, honestly, it's easy. It's easy. This is not complicated. And that's my shameless plug for Twisted Tea. But what I'm saying is that remote viewing is a latent psychic phenomenon, is a latent bandwidth within the mind of man. Perhaps it is latent within the mind of a bear as well. You know, like, I don't know, within the mind of a dolphin on some level, right? But palpably, right? Right? The mind of man, I've mentioned this in other videos, right? Okay. There is a latent twofold manifold in creation, right? That nothing occurs accidentally. That this is like, life is not a haphazard convocation of motion and matter. No. Right? Pribram and Bohm, right? The holographic model, right? New Age bullshit is all fine and dandy, right? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about hardcore physics, right? We're talking about reductionist, materialistic science, right? Right? And Pribram and Bohm espouse in the holographic model that embedded within every cubic centimeter of space, right, in terms of information, lies the potential for all manifested creation, all manifested reality, all stratas, all convocations simultaneously, right? And so what do they actually mean, right? In quantum mechanics, they have this condition that's known as the trouble with measurement, right? That light has this peculiar, they don't know, like, oh gosh, like, how is it, right? And so it's when you're not looking at it, right? It's spread out, it's smeared as a wave of probability, right? And then when you divert your intention, right? When you focus on it and you watch it, right? It collapses into a crepuscular photon. It collapses into a measurable condition, right? And so, right, to bring those two ideas together, right? One second. That all of space, right, is imbued with a twofold manifold, right? The first of which is an infinite nesting of polyhedra, right? And this is the subspatial abstract scaffolding for all of manifested reality, right? You see that, right? You got a nice square, right? Right? The seal of Solomon, right? So this, right? Infinitely more complex, right? There's 100,000 perturbations, right? Aligned harmonically, right? Within this thing, right? That this is just one example, right? And so diffused within that, right, is a conscious field, right? Is a conscious resonance, right? Right? So there's the structure of a thing, right? And then there's the condition of knowing the structure, right? And so that's commonly referred to as God or deity. It is an abstract intellectual quality, right? And so it eventually desires to see its knowing manifested, right? And exerts and breathes through the subspatial structuring, right? And as it exerts its knowing upon it, right, it is reflected in the material world as a pressure condition, right? And so as it puts as the varying dihedral angles, right, of the divine light of God exert their knowing upon this infinite lattice of nested polyhedra, right, eventually, right, the pressure becomes so great that it cannot remain inert space and erupts into crepuscular manifested matter, right? That the dihedral, right, the specific angle or angles with which the conscious field, the divine light of deity, impose themselves upon the subatomic structure, the subspatial scaffolding, right, reflects what we perceive as the manifested world. Right? So this is how everything comes into being, right? That space and matter are equal opposites of each other, right? That matter emerges from space and matter returns to space once more, from dust to dust, right? This is Russellian science, right? Right? That God is not a creature, right? This is an adolescent level of understanding, right? That God is an abstract intellectual principle, right? What does this have to do with Quentin Tarantino, right? My point is that all instances of psychic phenomenon, right, clairvoyance, right, in particular remote viewing, right, is the mind of the adept tapping into the non-locality of consciousness. The consciousness of your individuality, right, is the same consciousness which permeates all of space. Right? And so the highest levels of understanding have the adept behaving like God, right? And so Quentin is a psychic voyeur who watches people, right? And when I didn't give him what he wanted, right, at the Tribeca Film Festival last year at the screening of Jackie Brown, right? There's 500 people there. I'm not the only one who was there, right? But when I burned him, he entered into an evil Faustian covenant to compel me to blow my brains out. Right? That's what has occurred. How do I know that? How do I know that? Right? No one in their right mind, right, would create a pathological psychic connection with someone, right, where you crawl all the way into their mind and they crawl all the way into your mind, never expecting to spend any real time with them, right, which they expect to persist for 20 years, 30 years, the last 20 years of their life, no less, right? Therefore, right, and this is all because I trusted him, right, but my point is that therefore, his intention was always to overwhelm me and compel me to say, oh gosh, it's all so much, bang. Right? And so now that he has failed in doing that, right, that he knows, right, that I am the millennial dragon, right, that he can't overwhelm my mind, right, he has stolen my wisdom and descended into palpable black magic base evil to try to destroy my body. Right? And so what do I mean exactly, like, when I say that? I mean that his campaign was subtle for a long time, right? That he was like telling me, like, so he revealed himself to me, right, in the mind's eye, right, and said, oh, I want you to question me about cinema speculation, right? And then when he turned his back on me, I turned my back on him, because he could have emailed me. He could have said something practically. He didn't have to turn everything into a fucked up mind game. Right? And then when he didn't do that, right, after about 3 weeks, he was like, man, fuck this guy. Right? And then when I was at Fish, right, all through the same tactics, these are all the same tactics, right? Right? He revealed some woman, right, who is a psychic, right, who is like, stole all my secrets, right? And then she's like in love with me, and like she wants my baby, and then like the Discovery Institute wants to help me play Hamlet, and like there's this girl that I know, Hannah, and she loves me, and then like Anastasia wants to help me play Hamlet, and his daughter Eliza loves me. It's all bullshit. It's all an elaborate ruse to make me like feel like death is better, right? And then eventually, right, when I ended up back at my mom's house, which is where I am now in Alabama, I said, okay, I want to it's time to dust the cobwebs off of like this whole scenario. Like, I'm gonna print out a picture and start remote viewing someone, right? So he told me that this girl's name is Allison, Alllyson, Tarantino, right? And so that's Instagram at AllieJean _3 or 4. She's the first bitch who pops up. It's obviously like maybe she knows him, right? But anyway, right? Like I printed her picture out. Right? I've drawn her picture since then, right? And I fucking right? And as soon as I started staring at her picture, he said, "Oh, you can't force it." Right? I said, "Who's forcing anything? This is how it's done." Right? And it just degenerated, right? It just like, "Oh, she's a prostitute who gets pissed on for $500 an hour." He just kept like reaching, right? Because I kept looking for the truth, right? I kept like trying to, right? My point is that I turned everything on him, right? And then within like a week, he said, "Oh no, this is all bullshit. It's all bullshit. I don't like this. What's occurring now? This is not like what Quentin Tarantino, signed up for." Right? And then it became obvious. "Oh, okay, I see. So you're just trying to get me to blow my brains out. That's what's happening. I see. You're doing nothing but lying to me, right? With the divine celestial resonance, right? All instances of clairvoyance are the adept tapping in to God the Almighty. Right? That's like there is nothing else that's ever been occurring, right? And so rather than heal the sick, right, which he could be doing with the same power, right, he's decided to just hold court perpetually in my mind. And after I realized, right, that he wants me to blow my brains out, this is my thought, right? I said, "Oh, now that he knows he'll never convince me to kill myself, what else is he prepared to do?" And of course, I knew what it was immediately, right? I knew, right? And he stole my wisdom, and now it's become a disgusting psychic siege, right? And so what am I talking about? I had the thought immediately, oh, well, if I wanted to destroy someone with my mind, right, I'd use hypodermic needles with diseases, right? And that's what he's been doing for like the last 3 fucking months whenever he wants. And so what do I mean? 1 second. This is my fetish. Crude, but appropriate. Ari Emanuel, former CEO of WME, who's well aware of Quentin's disgusting siege against me, right? What did Quentin do, right? He did like this. Right? You stare at the target, right? Till you go into a trance, right? You close your eyes in meditation, you find them, right? You take your fetish, right? You got your hypodermic needle with your dirty AIDS solution, right? You inject it into the fetish and poison their magnetic body thereby, right? That's right now we're all caught up, right? So it's a disgusting, sick, degenerate psychic siege. That's what's occurring, right? And so, again, right, I'm mailing the Pope tomorrow, right? Everyone around him knows, right, that this is the game that he's playing, right? And so, he's tried to give me AIDS perhaps maybe 10 times, right? And so when I was at work, right, he used a hypodermic needle, and I got high on cocaine. I got like actually high, and it depressed me so fucking much, that I went to the hospital. And of course, they didn't understand at all, right? Like, psychiatry can't help me. Therapy perhaps can help me. This is a kind of therapy, and so that's like helping me, right? Talking about it, right? But it's just a degenerate, perverse condition now, and so this is why we're talking about it, right? We're reading through the novel. Right? All instances of clairvoyance are the mind of the adept, right? Tapping into the understanding that mind permeates all of space, right? And so when you understand that, right? When you know, okay, my mind, which is God's mind, is everywhere, right? That you can push your awareness out, right? You can quantum entangle two disparate locales, the one being your body, the other one being the other location, right? And you can fracture the hologram and rearrange it. This is what Talbot talks about in the holographic universe, right? This is how nuns heal the sick, right? Like that's what Quentin could be doing with this power, right? And that's what I intend to do in the coming months, right? But I'm suing him. You know, we're gonna talk about it. Like, this is what he wants. Like, oh, okay, great. Like, let's put it in front of a jury. Great. Like, court stenographer. Like, yeah, hell yeah, that's pretty funny, right? Oh, you're gonna pay $20 million to an attorney and then send me a bill? I have no money, right? And so this is what's ridiculous about it, right? Like, this is where it's a farce, right? Because, like, I'm supposed to believe that he's gonna pay me, right, $500 million, right, $300 million, $1 billion, and just set me loose on the world. I don't need any money to destroy someone with my mind. Like, oh, no. This is like, this thing that we're doing here, right, it's beyond money. There ain't no money required to be wise, right? So, we're talking about it, right? Quentin Tarantino is a base degenerate, right? I've called him Psychic Hitler more than once, right? He doesn't appreciate what he has. Pray for me. Pray for Quentin. I'm going to stop. God bless. Right? Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into adieu. Or that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. Oh, God. God. How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seems to me all the uses of this world. Found. Fie. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely, that it should come to this. But 2 months dead. Nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king, that was to this Hyperion to a satyr. So loving to my mother, that he might not beteem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember, why she would hang on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month, let me not think on't. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month. Or ere those shoes were old with which she followed my poor father's body like Niobe, all tears, why she, even she, oh God, a beast that once discourse of reason would have mourned longer, married with mine uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules. Within a month, ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing of her galled eyes, she married. O most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets! It is not, nor it cannot come to good, but to break my heart, for I must hold my tongue.